Hello, welcome to Name Netflix. I am Nate. You are you, and episode 5 of the new Chucky series, which was entitled Little Little Lies, is in the book. Each week, I do a little review for the episode that we got, and I give you my 5 biggest takeaways. This week is no different. As always, go down in the comment section, let me know your take on my take, and also hit me up with your 5 biggest takeaways. What are you hoping to see in the rest of the season? But man, a lot of questions I've been throwing out there about this series were answered in Little Little Lies. We had some big reveals. So let's go ahead and get to the 5 biggest pressing issues that I want to talk about this week. And the first point has to do with Bree Wheeler. My apologies, ma'am, because if I'm being completely honest, I thought you were up to something. I expected the worst of you. I assassinated your character. I thought you a no good cheating hussy. I thought you were out there running around town behind your husband's back. But it's not really my fault, because they really did everything they could to set it up as though she was cheating. From episode 1, we knew that she had some sort of secret. She was making odd calls at the night. What was going on there? She's hiding something from her family. It definitely felt like an affair. No, just good old run-of-the-mill stage 4 cancer. Yeah, now I feel even worse for calling her a cheater. It turns out she's just pulling an old Norm Macdonald, rest in peace, Norm, and that she has terminal cancer, and she's just not going to tell anybody, at least not yet, which kind of a curious direction to take this character. I think this is supposed to set up more turmoil for Junior, who's starting to feel a bit ostracized and left out of that core group of teens. And he's obviously got all this strife with his dad, who wants him to be this cross-country superstar, and that's just not Junior's dream. So I think we're setting up some sort of turn or crucial plot point for Junior. I don't know that he's going to become a straight-up villain, but I think because he's going to feel ostracized and he's going to feel so hurt by the world and potentially the loss of his mother, that you could see him presenting a challenge to our young group of heroes. Plot point number 2. We got another answer. So a few episodes ago, I threw out there that maybe Devin would make a turn for the more villainous. But no, it does not seem so, because Jake finally got the kiss that he has been coveting from this boy that he has been crushing on, even if it was an extremely awkward kiss. I mean, I'm not alone in this, guys, right? What was that scene? I mean, everything from the puckering up in exaggerated fashion from about a mile away and kind of craning the neck to come around for the kiss, to the weird claw grip on the shoulder. Probably should have done some reshoots on that scene. Very awkward first kiss, even if you're happy for your boy Jake for finally getting his first little smooch. That being said, I don't think he is a villain. I think we've definitely established that he is a good guy, even though it was very puzzling in hindsight that Devin was recording Jake without Jake knowing. I don't know what he's doing there. I don't know why he's doing that, what that soundbite will ultimately be used for. We know he's a podcaster, so maybe he's just trying to make his own little bit of history, and he's trying to get in on the ground level and put the story together as it happens. He's going to be recording throughout, and thus he'll be able to present everything about the hack and sack versus Chucky saga at some point for his podcast. I don't know where they're going with that. They did definitely set him up to be doing something a little bit more nefarious, but at last, no, he's just Jake's little boyfriend now, and that's just going to have to do, I guess. Number 3, I just wanted to have a small little gripe real quick. The tone of this show is so all over the freaking place. I mean, already we've talked about the fact that we have this little romance plot line, and it's being done in a very CW, middle school, high school, melodrama type of fashion, but we also have weird killer doll slasher stuff going on and all that comes with that. And now we've got a poor woman with stage 4 cancer, which is, of course, extremely heavy and comes with a lot of emotional toil and just sorrow. And it's going to be, if it's done correctly and it's done respectfully, it's going to become with a lot of impact, and it is going to really bog things down and really forceful, harsh emotion. But also we have totally wacky, zany camp galore when you look at characters like Tiffany. So there's just so much going on here. And it all happens right after, and we are just jumping tone so sporadically that at times it is very, very jarring when you go from a woman talking to her therapist about the revelation that her life is coming to an end, and then you jump to a doll doing a voodoo ritual, and you jump to kids holding hands while everybody just rushes past them in fast motion like some sort of early 2000s music video. It's just really hard to completely stay with the flow of things. It feels very jarring and off-putting. I really wish that we could have a more cohesive feel to our story, but instead all of our segments feel a little too distinct. Things are not really marrying nicely for me right now, and it's one of my biggest problems with the show. So I just wanted to put that out there because in these 5 biggest takeaways episodes, I haven't always been overly critical. So I did want you guys to know that it's not a perfect series, and I am noticing things. Be sure to comment down below if you're having the same issue with the tonality. All right. Now to get more positive, for this 4th point, I want to talk about this week's flashback. We had a little bit of a time jump forward. We are now in the 80s, and we see the Charles Lee Ray that looks like the Charles Lee Ray we know from the first Child's Play film, and we got to see how he met Tiffany, which was really interesting. I love that. Did a really good job of capturing the 80s through the lighting and the stylizations and the clothing and all this. Thought that was really cool. That was a really cool moment. And I love that Fiona Dorff was doing such a mesmerizing, fantastic job of really recapturing the visage of her father. I mean, that was uncanny. I couldn't believe it once I found out that that's who that was. At first, I was like, this guy looks a little interesting. He's got a few weird facial features that are a little bit like uncanny valley. They don't seem completely humanesque. It's just not right. But he definitely looks like Charles Lee Ray, and he walks like Charles Lee Ray. He talks like this is Charles Lee Ray. But there was something weird. Well, that's because it was a woman in prosthetics and makeup. So now it all makes all the more sense. So that being said, I loved everything about this week's flashback. I thought it was done really well. The only thing I didn't like was the dubbing, the ADR, putting, Brad Dourif and Jennifer Tilly's voices over these characters, because it was just very, again, jarring, much like I mentioned, the tonality, to where it was very, very obvious what was happening here, and just totally just brought you out of the moment. It was really hard to stay invested in it. Like, no, I'm not just watching a television program. No, this is actually happening. This is real life. I'm invested. No, you're like, record skip. This is not right. Those are not those people's voices. This is goofy. So that was my only problem. I know they're going to continue to do that. I just wish that they wouldn't. And my final point, the biggest, most important point, of course, is that our legacy players have at last come back to us. We have all been looking forward to this moment. Almost every week I've talked about, when are we getting them? When are they coming? Where are we going to see Tiffany? Where are we going to see Nico? Where are we going to see Andy? When are they coming back? Well, we finally got a couple of them back. We got Tiffany, we got Nika, and they're doing some interesting things with these characters. And I found it very interesting to find out that the events that we are watching are happening apparently only like 2 weeks after the Cult of Chucky, which I'm not sure makes sense because Cult of Chucky seemed like it was a very wintry type of setting and climate, and yet we just had a Halloween episode a few weeks ago. So I don't know what we're doing there. That seems a little bit iffy, but we now know where we reside within the continuity. We're bringing back Nico, which is great because Fiona Dorff is such a strong performer, and I love to see her act as her father. I loved the way she captured the mannerisms and body language of a man while still being in her female form. That was highly entertaining, and it was really cool to see the kind of limitations on Chucky's voodoo, that yes, he can possess all these different vessels, but Nika can still kind of fight for her soul, and there will be moments that she kind of comes through and regains possession of her body, even for just fleeting moments. I thought that was an interesting plot device. I can't wait to see where we go from there. Hopefully we'll get to see Nika take full possession of herself once more. I have to imagine we will. And on a negative side of things, it was a little weird to see Fiona Dorff, kind of doing this sex scene with the Tiffany character, who has been in a relationship with a character normally voiced by her real life father. That's a bit odd. And I know this is Child's Play, and we do the weird, we do the wacky, we kind of step over lines sometimes, and it didn't offend me or anything, but it was just like, ooh, that's a little bit weird. And then also Tiffany was a negative for me, unfortunately. Yes, this series is a lot about camp. And it's all about being kind of meta and knowing that you're being campy and kind of spoofing and satirizing yourself at times. But just way, way, way too much camp with Tiffany in this scene when she's complaining about being hungry and Swedish meatballs and saying stuff like her mother always warned her not to let a man cock block her from the things that she wants. What? And the acting was so hammy and over the top, can we just ground Tiffany a little bit? This is not exactly what she was like in Bride of Chucky when she first made her introduction to the franchise, made herself known to fans. That's not why we fell in love with her. Yes, there was camp within that movie, but the character wasn't just oozing over the top 1000% camp at all times. So can we rein it in just a little bit? That's the only thing I like. And also, when are we going to get our boy Andy? Where are you at, Andy? I asked about this last week. He has to be coming up. I did not see the sneak peek. I'm going to go ahead and assume that maybe, just maybe, next week we will finally see Andy brought back into the fold. If not next week, it has to be the week after, right? But surely we're not saving this for the finale. God, I hope not. But there you go. Those are my 5 biggest takeaways for this most recent episode of Chucky. Be sure to let me know your thoughts on the episode, on my takes, and where we might be going in the franchise. Other than that, though, I hope you have a fantastic day. I'm Nate for Name Flicks, and that's a wrap.